Hello, my name's Claire from Conscious Chemo, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to share my top tips on preparing for chemotherapy. So I had Carboplatin and Docetaxel, which are high doses of pretty toxic chemotherapy, and I also had immunotherapies, which included Herceptin and Pertuzumab. That's the standard protocol for anybody with an HER2 positive breast cancer. And whilst I didn't take any of the medication they prescribed for side effects, I still did get side effects, but I managed them naturally, which I'll save for another video on how I did that. But I did start preparing for it before I embarked on that, and I have to say I think it made a huge difference. So the first thing I did was I really was mindful about what I was putting into my system. So I tried to detox my system, knowing that the chemotherapy was very toxic. So if you imagine putting toxicity into toxicity, it's going to be worse than if you clear yourself out first, clean yourself as much as you can, and then your body's much better placed to deal with the toxicity of the chemotherapy. So I pretty much drank only filtered water, herbal teas, and matcha powder, which I really liked, rooibos matcha powder. You can also get rooibos tea bags, which are got antioxidants in, but the powder's got a lot more antioxidants in, and also green matcha powder tea. It's much higher in something called catechins, which again have got lots of health benefits. So I immediately cut out alcohol, and I already wasn't drinking fizzy drinks anyway. So that was the only fluid that I had, and then I was making myself vegetable juices every morning with a juicer. I was putting ginger in, a bit of turmeric. The only fruit I put in was Granny Smith apples. Everything else was veg, but you can put anything in you like. I had a glass of that every morning, and I would also started taking some supplements. I took a green powder, chlorella, which I really didn't like, made me gag. So I stopped taking it after. I thought, why are you making yourself drink this when you really don't like it? So I gave it to somebody else, and I brought instead wheatgrass, which was far more tolerable. And actually, as time has gone on, I can have it now absolutely fine. So I probably could tolerate chlorella now. So your body will get used to the changes that you make if you choose to make them. What else? I took vitamin C powder with a little bit of lemon juice. The lemon pith helps you to absorb it. I took that either in water and juice, teaspoon every day. I was already on multivitamins at that point, which I kept. I'm not on them now because I'm trying to limit how many capsules I have, because they can be, you don't know what's in the capsules. So I'm trying to have mainly liquids and powders for my supplements. And I started taking vitamin D in a liquid form, which is recommended probably for all immunity boosting, but it's very much recommended for people with breast cancer. And I did start taking iodine topically, a drop of iodine. I use 5%, but you can get 12%. You rub it on your forearms, and if it stains for more than 8 hours, your body probably doesn't need it. But if it gets absorbed really quickly, then it's a sign it does, and mine was getting absorbed really quickly. So I still do that now. I've carried that on pretty much throughout. If I miss a day by accident, no bother. But I do that. You can also apply it topically to your breast. I've been given this advice from a naturopath that I paid for a consultation with, and it's also in the New Medicine book by Dr. Patrick Kingsley, which I would recommend. He is medically trained. He's gone into the natural healing side of things for the majority of his career. And in his book, he explains suggestions on how to heal if you're trying to do it holistically, but also if you go down the medical road. And I like that about the way he comes across in the book. He's given it's your choice, and I really agree with that. I have read other books where it's so negative, and on one side or the other. I don't find that helpful. So I do find with Dr. Patrick Kingsley's book, it's quite repetitive and it's quite directive, but you can take bits out of it, and it's well worth a read, I would say. So a lot of the tips I've incorporated have come from that book. Juicing, I know, again, I've got nutritionist friends, chronic cardiotherapist friends. If you go on Chris not Chris Cured Cancer, what's his website? Chris Beat Cancer, big on juicing. It's been scientifically proven, the benefits of that. So I was having juice every day, sometimes twice a day. The recommendation is 2 litres, but it depends on your lifestyle and how much you want to put into it. But if you just want to keep it simple, basically have as many fruit and veg as you can and cut out as much processed foods, added sugar, takeaways and alcohol as you can. I mean, I did it all. I cut out all of that, and dairy as well. So pretty much my diet was fruit, veg, salads, soups, nuts, and I wasn't even having nuts and seeds at that point, actually. So by the time I started my chemotherapy, I felt really, really healthy and energetic, and I had lost some weight, but I didn't worry about that because I was going by the way I feel. So listen to your body. People will be telling you, what are you doing, losing weight before you start chemo? You need to keep your energy levels up. You need to eat lots. That's not my experience. My experience is you want your body to be as healthy and feel feel vitality and as well as you can, and that comes from a very clean diet. And the less you put into your body, obviously you want loads of nutrients, but your body has got to metabolize everything and digest everything. Your body spends, I think it's 70% of its energy output is on digestion. So if you actually, I mean, I ate plenty, but I did lose weight because I was eating so healthily and I felt good on it. So my body was finding that easier to digest than other types of food. I also cleared the decks, and I think that's really important going into high dose chemotherapy. Even though, I felt pretty well during it, I always made sure I didn't have to do anything in the first week afterwards, and I would highly recommend that. I did feel tired, also, funny taste in your mouth. I think it's just really helpful to be able to go day by day and see how you feel and respond, rather than having the pressure that we all tend to live by in this Western society about having to be somewhere at a certain time, and the expectations that are placed on us. I think if you are in a position to be able to let that fall away, and this is a time for nurturing yourself, it's a time for slowing down, it's a time for being kind to yourself, and so I would do whatever you can to make your life easy and simple. It's not a time to start anything new. So I really, and let's drop the guilt around not filling our day 12 hours a day, rushing from A to B. Give yourselves permission to rest as much as you feel like you want to. Give yourselves permission to be okay with not doing anything. So being rather than doing. Preparing for high dose chemo. What else would I suggest? Clearing the decks. Really thinking about what you're putting into your body, filling your freezer with really healthy foods, the things we've talked about. Somebody set up a WhatsApp group for me actually, which was really great. So I knew I had a small support group. I chose not to tell everybody. I didn't put it on Facebook because I wanted to focus my energy on healing, and I would recommend that as well. I think once you tell everybody, you get a lot of bombarding, a lot of people messaging you, quite rightly so. They care and they love you, but actually it's energy out all the time. You're responding to that. So I really wanted to be able to go within, and I know that's where healing only takes place from the parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in when you are breathing slowly, breathing steadily, when you are resting, sleeping, meditating, doing yoga nidras, and that's why all these things are so beneficial and so healing. So I would really recommend giving yourselves permission to rest and to heal and to move away from doing as much as you possibly can. So make your life easy, have a support group, setting up a food rota for people to drop your food round. If people would want to help, it will make them feel good. Be clear about what you want them to make you. If you are following a healthy regime and a healthy diet, express that. Don't be afraid to do that. If you've got children, so I've got 3 children. My mum actually sorted out the food for them, so then my friends provided the food for me, so you could share it out between people. But basically, don't be afraid to say yes to any offers of help. You know, as much as I navigated this really well, and I felt really positive throughout, give or take a few moments, of course. And I had plenty of rest that I needed as well. I still had a lot of support. If I didn't have that support, I wouldn't have dealt with it as well, emotionally or physically. So do say yes if people offer help, and do ask for it in a way that's that's helpful, and it will come. So lifts for getting to treatment, I would see that would be something else to arrange. Filling up your freezer, saying yes to help, and preparing mentally. I actually went to see a counsellor because I had always said I wouldn't have chemotherapy if I got cancer, but after doing some research, speaking to a few people, meditating, listening to my inner guide, based on the type I had and the stage it was, I just did decide to do it. But I went and talked it through with my counsellor. She gave me some fantastic meditations to do. She really put me in the right frame of mind. So if you are finding that your mind is full of fear and full of any anxieties, then as well as I've got lots of tips to share on how to help with that on this site. Meditations and visualizations, affirmations, journaling, yoga nidras. I would also recommend perhaps seeing a counsellor to prepare you. It really made a difference to me and how I went into it. And I really, from the moment I started, I really was on track. So that was really helpful for me. And I also did something called the journey therapy. I knew very early on that my cancer was related to, I felt like it was related to more emotional trauma and stress. And the journey therapy by Brandon Bays is about going inwards and seeing what past might be holding you back emotionally, and you clear it. And I'll talk about the journey therapy in another video, but just to say that I really felt like it cleared a lot. I cried for about 2.5 hours during my first journey therapy, and actually I had been getting some anxiety the year before, and I haven't had it since, and I'm pretty confident that therapy made a difference. I've also brought the book since and read that. It's a very easy read. It's a very inspiring read. And again, anything that inspires and motivates is something that I say do. Anything that's introducing fear, I think there's a lot of books and statistics that can instigate fear. I would stay away from it. Even the side effects that they list, I'd quickly skim them once and thought, I don't want to keep looking at that. Let's just see what happens. So if you can come from that place, I think it's putting you in a good stead. That's the other thing. Just when you go in for your first round, obviously it is the most apprehensive round. It's new. You don't know what's going to happen. I did a meditation before I went in, and during my first treatment, I was naturally just practicing really good affirmations. I'll share lots of tips for that in the next video. But one tip would be just to take one round at a time. Don't go in looking at the whole, how long it's going to take, and count down each week. For me, I just thought I'll just take it one round at a time. I know I can stop at any time I like. I'll let my body tell me whether or not I should be having it. And for me, it was like, oh crikey, I've got another round. The time actually went really quickly, and still is. I mean, now I forget I've even got it. It's been a few times I thought, oh crikey, I've got chemo tomorrow, I've forgotten. So you get used to it. That's another thing to say. The novelty will wear off. It's obviously when it's new, it's much of a bigger deal, but you will learn to normalise it. And that's really empowering as well. So I hope that gives you lots of tips on preparing. I would recommend the books that I mentioned, Dr. Patrick Kingsley. There's another book called The Anti-Cancer Diet that you could look at. Brandon Bays, I found very helpful. So reading anything that makes you feel positive going into it is something else I would suggest. So any stories that you're hearing, but which I don't think, that's another reason why I've done this blog, to fill in that gap, because every story I read about online was all very, very negative about chemo, and also, what's portrayed on the TV and the media as well. I spoke to one yoga teacher before and she said it wasn't that bad, and it was her that made me think, oh, it might not be that bad. So I'm hoping that that this blog sends that message out as well. So I hope this has helped with my some of my top tips for preparing for chemo, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much.